Good day to you all. We are back with our daily devotion, and for today, day of Sunday, we are still with Series 365 Daily Devotion Bible Character Edition. For this day, the character that we're going to talk about is Eli. And the topic, being a parent is a holy calling. So Eli was a priest. He was a priest of God and a leader in Israel. And he served in the house of God and knew his laws. So Eli was a priest, was a servant of God. He was devoted, but he had two sons who is also a priest, but not as devoted as him. They were also a priest, but not as servant as Eli. And Eli was aware of the wrongdoings of the wickedness of his two sons, particularly Phinehas and Hophni. But he is he did not corrected his offsprings. He did not corrected his child. Hophni and Phinehas were very sinful. They stole from the offerings since they were a priest. They disrespected worship and lived in wickedness. As we have said earlier, Eli was aware of it, but he did not stop them. He did not discipline his sons, and the sin or the wickedness that Hophni and Phinehas lived grew and grew, and it consumed them. They became worse. So Eli had or became a neglectful father, not just a father but also a servant of God, because being a parent is a holy calling. It is a responsibility to God, because your son is not just your son, they are also a son of God. So it is your responsibility as a parent to disciple them, to discipline them if they are committing sins, if they are living a wicked life. It is your responsibility to bring them closer to God. So what is our first teaching? Parenting is a holy calling. Parenting is not just uh, your plan to have children. When you consider parenting or having a child, you should also remember that it is a holy calling. It's not just you, it's also God's will. God provided or gave you a child, therefore you should consider it, you should consider parenting as a holy calling, as a way to worship God. Second, parenting is a daily act of service to God. So, when you are already a parent, you must treat it as a form of worship to God. Every day, when you are taking care of your children, you should not just remember that you are doing it for their safety, uh, for taking care of them, but also you should remember that when you are taking care of your children, when you are providing for your children, when you are disciplining your children, it is a way, it is a daily act, it is a responsibility as a service to God. Lastly, parenting aims to develop a godly culture. So when you have a son already or a daughter, you have children, you should do whatever it takes to bring them closer to God. You should provide the culture of God to them. You should uh, teach them the kingdom way of living. So how can we apply this in our lives? The first application is pursue a life of integrity and honor, because whatever you do, you will be the role model of your children, and you don't want your children to not be aware of what is wrong and what is right. You need to teach them to make them understand what is right and what is wrong, and convince them that the only way to live is to live like Christ, to live in a right way. Second, establish a clear biblical standards at home. So when you have a child, you should teach them what is right and what is wrong, but not just that. You should tell them what is the reason why it is right, why it is wrong. You should teach them that the Bible will guide their life, will teach them how to live a pleasing life to God. We should introduce them to the Holy Bible, because our Bible is our manual, and it is very important that a child will grow in a household that has biblical standards. Lastly, set a strong example of Christ, because you will be their role model, and you will be their first teacher. So it is very important to set a set an example and a standard on how to live like Christ, because when you live in a standard of Christ, your children will adapt it and will do it, because they will think that what you're doing is right, because you are their parents. So it's very important to show them, to teach them how to live our goal, and that is how to live like Christ. So that would be for the devotion, let's live like Christ.